here. This is like a saga. I should have filmed a horror movie yesterday. So yesterday was day 103, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of numbers to keep track of protests in the city of Elizabeth City over the police murder of Andrew Brown Jr. And so I want to play this little prologue piece. There was like massive flooding. This is Road Street, as you can see. There was massive flooding in Elizabeth City yesterday around when the protest occurred. And so when we were trying to get to the protest destination, we had to like go in and out. We had to like do twists and turns. It was a maze. It was incredible. And then also the traffic lights were out. I don't know if you can see it in this image, but the traffic lights are all out. There's no traffic lights. So we're trying to navigate. There's a street called Road Street. That is correct. So we're trying to navigate to the protest, and you know, there's no traffic lights. All the roads are flooded. So we ended up taking like 16 detours, and we eventually made it. And there were a couple of us. As soon as we started the protest, really the rain was stopping, so that's good. And so then what we did was, it was actually really interesting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like everywhere being flooded. That's my fingernail, if you can see it. Everywhere being flooded. Made for a very interesting protest because no one was really out, you know, walking around. Everyone was inside. Everyone was driving. And also because no one was really like, you know, outside walking around the sidewalks downtown, our voices were definitely echoing off of the buildings. And we had a bunch of people, you know, roll their windows down and like, you know, like try to hear what we were trying to say. And so this is a very interesting protest, for that reason. But again, people did hear us. You know, people were in the buildings. They just were not walking around. And so it was super interesting. But either way, we started our march here. And so I believe I mentioned this yesterday, but the road was closed because they're repairing the Black Lives Matter street mural. And so that's why the bus is there to close the road off, because the city did not actually properly close the road. We had the person painting almost get hit by a car the other day, and so we left the bus there overnight. And so, but yeah, here we go. And so again, it was like kind of drizzling at random points throughout the protest, but you know, it was mostly dry, other than stepping in water. Now again, I want to remind everyone I have holes in the bottom of my shoes, so whenever I step in one puddle, it's gone. It's done. I'm done for. It's over. And so, but anyway, so we try to avoid the newly painted letters, and we just walk through the streets because no one's really driving downtown. And then we had this like great moment where the sun starts peeking through, and it was like, you know, I almost believed in God. Almost. They almost got me. But, you know, then I just realized it was the sun. But anyway, so, you know, that was a thing that happened. And then, so, again, a lot of people were inside buildings. A lot of people were driving about on the major roads. But it was mostly kind of like a ghost town. It was very dystopian. And then, so once we got on the main roads, we got a lot louder. We increased our volume because that's what you want to do when you're in the, you know, the most populous areas. And so here's me. I'm like running up. Look at that. See that bench? Look at that bench. Isn't that a great bench? And I stand on top of the bench, folks. And I get this overhead shot as the sun is peeking through. But either way, we did our demonstration. We marched up and around downtown Elizabeth City. And we did a good showcase. We had a good amount of people there. You know, again, not every single day you're going to get the most effective amounts of people hearing the protest. But what's most important is that we at least get it in. It was done. It did occur. And that's the, again, most important aspect. And so we continued all the way back downtown, back onto Road Street. And then we noticed the lights were back on. So then I was like, I guess my power's back on at home. Because before this, the power went out, and that was really entertaining. But anyway, so we went back to Road Street, and then we finished up going back onto Colonial. We picked up people along the way as well. That, you know, joined our march. And so that's one of the big things is, again, focusing on the power of community. And it's super, super, super important. And that's, you know, we did a good job. Day 103, folks, in the books. It has been written into the books. One of these days, I am going to start uploading raw protest footage to the channel at some point. And so, but there's a lot I need to like, go through it and make sure there's no like, overheard conversations that like, I want to make sure that there's no like, people getting caught doing certain, but at some point I'm going to start uploading just some raw footage of random bits of the protest. And so that's going to be something that we're going to get into, because I know I do the recap, but I don't do too much, of the raw footage. And that's because a lot of the protests have people, talking to each other, and I don't want to broadcast people's private conversations. But at some point, I'm going to scrub through some of this and see if we can get some actual, like, pretty good footage of some high energy situations, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So anyway, day 103, folks. It was a good one. So